Hi there, English 111 Online. This is going to be a video recording, and you're looking at a picture of cute wolves. This is from a paper from one of my face-to-face students. And the reason I want to show it to you is not because I think it's the perfect paper in the world, though it did get a good grade, but also what I wanted to do is run through some of the structural things that are really good about this paper so that you guys can go through your papers, because I know you're polishing them up right now, and make sure you have some of that structural stuff that's just going to make your paper easier to understand. Okay, and so right, this is about the Michigan wolf hunt. So you can use pictures if you want to. You don't have to, but you'll notice that there's a photo credit there. Now, with op-eds, it's different than an opinion paper, like an argument paper where you sort of spend a long time writing the intro and easing up. You're thinking about this as something that might appear in the newspaper, so you want to kind of get right to business. And you'll see that the preamble, and I'm going to highlight that for a moment, the little intro is really short here. The Michigan wolves have been misunderstood and it may cost them their lives. Help save the wolves today so that your children can have the opportunity to view these magnificent creatures in their natural habitats. Okay, we understand that the wolves are being hunted. That has something to do with misunderstanding and that they might be threatened. Then when we go down here to the green part, that's the thesis, that's the point, that's what you want to happen. And so make sure early on, right there in your beginning paragraph, you say, here's what I want to happen. Remember that you don't have to solve anything. You don't have to figure out how it happens. So stopping the wolf hunt must be a cornerstone of the Michigan DNR wildlife conservation strategy, effective immediately. Okay, you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to say, well, it's impossible to do that, so we're going to have to do this. You just say exactly what you're interested in. Later on, you can give more detail. Okay, so first paragraph, thesis, lay it out. Here's what I want to happen. Here's what needs to be different. Okay, and then the structure that I want you to notice is that at the beginning of each point that this student is making, the student puts the states the point and then provides data. So the green part here, although it seems warranted, the Michigan wolf hunt is supported by distorted data and misleading facts. That part says, this is what I'm saying. Point number one, that supports, that's why I put them all in green, that supports this thesis is that it's supported by distorted data and misleading facts. All of this blue stuff is details about the misleading facts. I hope you'll also notice, I think I'll highlight these in extra color just so it'll be great. Notice all the citations. That's what you need so that your authority is there. There's all these numbers, there's all this information, and this is how you gain authority. This is how your audience looks at you and says, oh yeah, I can follow this. I believe what this person has to say. They did all their research. We are all struggling is maybe a negative word, but we're all looking for authority. We all want people to hear what we have to say. And part of the way we do that, especially in an academic community, is we pull on the information that comes from other sources. And we read about this earlier in the class when we read about, academic research and why we do it. But I want you to remember that here. It's super important. This point, the wolf hunt was supported by distorted data, now has a ton of information to support it, and it seems really solid. Okay? Then we go to the next point. Okay, there's genuine threats to human safety by wolves were exceedingly rare, so it's not much of a threat. Okay, and so again, we have tons of citations. We have information here about how many animals are killed by wolves and coyotes and all that kind of stuff. Okay, then we've got the third point. In fact, wolves actually help the ecosystem. And then there's information here. You'll notice this one isn't as much evidence for this point. There's more argument. Let me put argument kind of like this. And let's see, what do we put it in? Perhaps we'll put it in pink. That sounds exciting. That's okay. Both both pieces are used to support your points, but you need to make sure you have this blue stuff, which I'm just calling blue stuff. You need to have data for every single point. So here's a point, green one, here's a point, green one, here's a point, green one, and they're always followed by that blue information. And then this student wraps up the argument. Also notice that there's citations throughout. We're not even optional about citations. You're going to need to use them in text like this and at the end. Notice how the second lines, are indented, okay? So that it starts alphabetically over here and that the second line is indented. That's pretty important, okay? The way that you can make that happen is to go into, format paragraph, and when you see paragraph, you'll get to over here it says special, and you go to hanging indents. You can change it. Sometimes there's none, sometimes there's first line, and you click hanging, and that'll make that happen. Okay? And they're all listed here. Ooh, except I think this goes up that way. Doesn't S come before V? Now I'm going to have to sing the alphabet song. Anyway, so hopefully that'll help you out a little bit as you're thinking about structuring your papers. I also want to talk a little bit about commas, and this is only because some of you mentioned like feeling a little freaked out by commas now, like yikes, what do I do? How am I using a comma correctly? Am I not? I want you to be playful with commas. I want you to know also that commas are in fact the thing that English people just sort of fight about a lot. When I'm looking at things with my husband has written, I'm always like, you don't need that comma there. And he's like, no, I do. Yes. When I gave you those the handout about the different types of comma use, I was trying to narrow it down to the places where they were really required. Commas are used all over the place, and often they just provide that sort of pacing for us. You start with, is there a pause? And you think about what goes in that pause. How can I explain to the reader, geez, my cats are fighting right now. How can I explain to the reader that this information, how this information is flowing? How do I explain to them how to read this sentence? And that's what the commas and other punctuation do. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. I look forward to reading you guys' papers. The topics look really super interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.